Sorry about the volume, guys. It's Rick. It is Friday. And you guys know I'm Rick. I am the dad in Flip with Rick. You guys know my son, Zachary Ginn. And I'm really excited. Today, I'm going to walk you through my journey from the day I started wholesaling. So the really cool thing is if you've never done a deal in wholesaling, I'm going to walk you through from the day I started. And I'm going to tell you what, there was no lives. There was no information on YouTube. There was nothing available. I had to go out and chase everybody I humanly knew in person. And I'm going to walk you through particularly my first 3 years, because it took me about 3.5 years to make my first $1 million. And I'm starting out by saying this, guys. I'm telling you about this journey not to impress you. Actually, it's the least thing. I'm going to show you my blunders, the trials and tribulations I went through. But as I said, it's not to impress you, it's to impress upon you. That $1 million seems like this crazy goal, but I'm like here to tell you, in a couple years, it's so doable. It's not only easy, you can duplicate exactly what I do and you can have the exact same success. But don't believe me, let's go back and I'm going to put you in a time capsule all the way back to 2003, because that's how long ago I started this business. And I'm going to show you my first 3 years. Now, I'm going to be honest, they're a little bit painful. So if you've never done a deal before, you're actually in the right live stream, because so many people forget where they came from. I never forget. And I'm humbled. The wholesaling has completely changed my life. It's helped me out phenomenally. It's projected my family in a whole different path. It's obviously, you guys know the benefit with my son. And so now I am where I need to be, and I'm always striving to be more. Zach's well on his way. And the whole goal with this channel is to help as many people out there possible without getting in your back pockets, and really doing this in a modern way, because I'm so tired of the pay for play to try to learn everything in real estate. And honestly, if you do it, about 60 to 70% of the people are just like full of crap, meaning they don't actually even do what they say. So I run a 7-figure wholesaling operation. I've been doing it 20 years. I love it. I don't strictly do wholesaling. I will tell you, you can make more and more money. But as you start out wholesaling, like 100% is the best way to do it. Anybody who tells you wholesaling is not it, they're either going to be a realtor or they're going to sell you some other type of course. Almost everyone I know that got started in any type of meaningful real estate investing started out with wholesaling because it was the fastest way to scale. So we got the volume fixed. I apologize for that. So what we'll do is take like 30, 40 minutes. I'll walk you through the journey and I want you to relate to it. So if you're frustrated and you don't have a deal, or you feel like you're climbing a mountain all by yourself, number one, you're not alone. This is a community of like-minded people to where you don't have to pay me for me to give you all the information. I just give it to you all. So we are one of the unique peoples that don't put a filter on it, because you'll find that most people's lives, they can't answer most of the questions because then they can't sell a course. And so I kind of freeing the way we do this. But listen, however you want to consume information, there is wonderful people all out there. I have no beef with anyone. I just want you guys to get the best information possible and understand there is no magic secret. All the information's out there. You just got to get it from a reliable source. And that's what me and Zach provide with you. So in the chat comment, guys, put in your names. Just let you know that this channel is full of like-minded people. People who either just getting started in wholesaling or they're trying to figure out some things in wholesaling. Not everyone's a super pro in here. My goal is to get everyone started. Just wake you up and go, listen, there's so much more life out there than what you're living now. And if wholesaling, if you're attracted to it, there is an easy path to do it, but you got to put in the work. I'm not doing the work for you. I'm going to walk you through it. So use the comments to let us know where you're from. If you want to work with someone, make sure you vet everyone. I can't memorize everybody's names personally. I know a lot of you. If you go on these lives frequently, like a lot of you do, I get to know each one of you single-handedly. And if you do a deal with me and Zach, we do a lot of JV deals, then you really get to know us. Like we spend a lot of time with people, but our requirements is it has to be a deal. So next week, we have a new system rolling out to basically smooth our transitions on JVs, because it's so awesome. You guys submit so many deals, but it does take an army behind the scenes for us to go through it, because there's only so many hours in a day. And remember, guys, The main reason we do wholesaling is for freedom. Okay. So I'm not sitting behind a desk 12 hours and reviewing deals all day. I have someone and then they take the final cut and bring them to me and Zach. And I want you guys to be on that list. So before we get started, dude, it's Friday. I don't even know if it's a full moon. It's been a full moon out there lately. You got to get pumped. You got to get excited. And guys, you have got to ramp up for wholesaling because there are challenges in this business and we all have to fight and get through it. But if you're not going to have fun, if you can't ramp up, you can't have a good time, don't watch this video.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
Okay, guys, so that's it. So it's just a little video we have prepared for us. And like, that's how I look at wholesaling. There's so many crazy things going on. We got crazy sellers. We got crazy cash buyers. We got crazy wholesalers, crazy title companies. So you have to have a little bit of the cray in you to get through this. So one of the things I'll tell you, a lot of people like, Rick, wasn't wholesaling a lot easier when you first started out? I'm here to tell you it was actually harder. There was no information. Sellers didn't even know what we were doing. And so you got to kind of pick your poison. If you couldn't get the information, you had to kind of figure it out on your own and try to rely on people that you actually paid that didn't really want to share the secrets with you. Or you can get all the information today, have a million gurus go out there and chase your money around. Because by the way, gurus rather sell you the shovel than actually go find the gold themselves. I'm not saying every one of them does it, but the reality is that's the truth. That's why you're hammered with phone calls. You're hammered with emails and all that stuff. Here at Flip with Rick, we don't do any of that. So you're never going to get a discovery call with me, and there's nowhere to put in the credit card. So if you guys have never, ever done our channel, the first thing I want you to do is go over and get our course. That's right. Act now and you can get the course. It's freewholesaling.com. It's 100% free. Most of the questions you guys are asked will be answered in this course. Now, the whole purpose of the mastermind is to help you solve problems that you're dealing with. A couple keys to this is we have to find solutions. If you complain, you're wasting kind of time. I get it. We all have frustrations, but let's try to work on solutions and help you problem solve. If you want me to comp something, I'll comp something. But honestly, you're not using your time effectively if you do that. But there is no bad questions. So I'm here to tell you, ask what you want. And I think that's it. So everybody's in the chat here. People are piling in. Awesome. So let's get rid of this clown. Block. Crazy people, man. I just don't understand why people spam. But hey, everybody's got to try to make a buck some way, right? So today, I'm going to go through my journey of when I started out to my first million. And I said, dude, this is like not bragging. Honestly, it was a real struggle to get to this point. And I'm here to show you like the struggle's real. But I want to give you hope and promise that you can get there. And when we're done with this, I'm going to show you how you can do the exact same thing. So the idea is I think people learn from actual events in life as opposed to theory and like BS. And I'm telling you, I'm going to walk you through it. You're probably going to go, oh my God, I never even knew that. I thought about this. I want to keep it brief because I'm actually considering writing a book on all the stuff's happened to me. And that's something you can kind of digest somewhere later down the line. And I promise you it'll be free. So if you guys are on hold, if you want to get in line for the mastermind, get in there. You can stare at my mug. I can stare at your mug. I don't need, if you don't want to be on video, I'm fine with that. It's not a requirement. So what I do is if you get in line, just hang in there with me. And when it's done, I take everybody in order and we wrap up around 7 o'clock. So those are the rules with it. If you have a question, please put it in the comments, and I will get to them. I try not to answer the same duplicate questions because obviously if they're written in the comments. So I try to treat everybody fairly. But guys, I'm going to tell you, I love the live interaction. I don't know anyone else who will sit here and just give away the house for free. Most people, as I said, they can't answer the questions honestly because it would reveal what's behind their course, and then they couldn't ask for payment from you. So we remove that so I can be brutally honest with you. So without further ado, let's jump into it. How I became a millionaire by 37. So now, guys, as I said, your age does not matter when you start. I've known people start in their 70s and this business done very well. Okay. So if you do wholesaling right, it is not a labor intensive business. It is actually a job you can do from a chair. So if you have a disability, any type of handicap, I'm here to tell you that's one of the other benefits of wholesaling because you can use your mind over your muscle. When I was younger, I used my muscles a lot more. I use them now just because I have to. So, but if you've ever been in a labor job, you understand when you get older, your back starts to break down. If you do wholesaling right, your back never breaks down because you're not doing it. So I want you to understand that when you get into it. So I actually started out when I was 33 years old. Okay. So if you go, okay, well, how do you get 37? Actually, it was I really didn't get crank until around like when I was 34. So 33, I kind of hit I was frustrated and I made a decision. I couldn't take it anymore. So in my first year of doing it, you'll see I actually worked a full-time job and I made an income from wholesaling. And I'll show you how I made the transition and I'll walk you through the entire thing. So it's really cool. So take what you want. If you want to skip it and come back to the Q&A, I don't care. I just want to show you because a lot of people are like, I don't understand how I'm going to get there. I'm going to walk you through this. So I started in 2003. If you guys want to hear a fun fact, I used to work for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Enterprise Leasing. So, you know, where you can be your own boss. And honestly, I went straight out of college. I did insurance sales door to door for a year and a half. I made good money with that, but I hated it. It was terrible. And then I moved over and I found this job. I sold boats for a while. So I've always been in sales. I just thought it was a good, safe job. My kind of dad told me it'd be a good fit for me. And I wound up 10 years with the company, way too long. So, and I made 6 figures at the end, but to be honest with you, I hated every minute of what I did. I mean, all we did was, I just felt like we never told the truth to people, and you pushed and pushed salespeople to the brink when they would quit. And I was getting tired of the turnover. And then when I started having kids, AKA Zach, my daughter Leah, I decided I didn't want to travel because I wanted a consistent home for my kids. And that's why I started making decisions. So I discovered somebody of all places, you ready for this? On a radio ad. And they said, listen, are you tired of the rat race? Do you want to get financially free? And it just, you got to understand, guys, back then there wasn't commercial, there was nothing. So I found it on a radio station, God only does. To be brutally honest, I didn't get the best advice in the world. So I went on a journey to try to figure out how to do it. So 2003, I'm trying to figure it out. To be honest with you, I bought some rentals that honestly, they were not really good. They worked out later in life, but I learned how to buy stuff on MLS. So guys, wholesaling really has very little to do with MLS. Anybody who focuses you just on MLS, that is not where you want to start out in wholesaling because that's where everybody goes to bid up properties. And guess what? The highest bidder loses in wholesaling. End of story. So 2003, I decided I was going to make a jump. Now, 2003, I still kept my job. Why? I had 2 kids to feed. I had a wife to take care of, and I had a mortgage. So if any of you guys can relate, you know what I'm talking about, dude. I didn't know what to do. I just knew what I was doing was not working. So I had a W-2 paycheck. I had a lot of bills. I was getting hit the maximum taxes at the time, and I knew I had to make a change. I just didn't know how to go about doing it. So 2003, while I was working, okay, and guys, I'm going to be honest with you, this is the most brutal $200,000 I ever made in my life. I really struggled the first 4 to 5 months. And when I say really struggle, I just didn't know how to pull the correct profit out. So I would take a profit and I would be okay with it. And then people would kind of snicker and laugh behind my back because I didn't know what I was doing. Because when I did wholesaling, nobody really taught it. So you had to find people and try to duplicate their transactions. How did I do it? I actually went to RIAs and network. And I still to this day love RIAs because I love the human interaction. I love what we do on this. I swear, if I could just put you all in the same room, it would be through the roof, but it's challenging because you guys are all over the country. I'm in Florida. We're working on some issues to maybe have some like meetups or do something like that. But logistically, our goal is to try to get you the best information for free so you guys can go out and be effective wholesalers. So 2003, I started out ready for the 18 whopping deals. Okay. Now, it wasn't that hard to get a wholesale deal, but like to try to get it closed and do an assignment, it was a lot of work. Because if you thought title companies were rough now, back then they didn't do a lot of assignments because there was very, very few title companies. So I had to spend a lot of time figuring out. But I went back through all my papers and notes. I even have the first address of a property. The first property I flipped was in Fort Lauderdale, downtown Los Olas on the water. And I got it from a referral from a realtor. So don't ever underestimate the power of a realtor. Honestly, if that realtor didn't help me out with that first deal, I probably would have struggled another 6 months. It propelled my confidence and I went all in. I went crazy marketing. I did door knocking. I did door hangers. I was a big bandit sign guy. And what was the other one I did? I did small direct mail in the beginning because back then we could mail 500 or 1,000 pieces and you would get 50, 60 leads and like no problem. And I'm talking about like quality leads, but you had to take a lot of risks. So my first year doing this was a whopping 200,000. I probably netted about 140, 150 when I took my cost off, but I did have a lot of costs because guess what, guys? I was a single operator. Okay. So those of you who's like, oh, Rick, how many people did you have do it? My first 7 years of wholesaling, I was all by myself. And honestly, I knew how to wholesale. I just didn't know how to hire people at the time. Okay. I don't want you to do the 7 years ever by yourself. I think in 2 to 3 years, you should be so buried in leads that you have to bring in people to help you out. So people was like, when do you bring people in? You bring it when like your pipe's full, you're getting paid, you got money in the bank, and then you get help. Okay. So 2003. And so let me kind of walk you through. I'm looking at any questions you guys have on. So Jonte asked how many hours you're working. I got to be honest with you. I don't even know. It was insane though. So have you ever been so consumed with something and excited about it, like you don't even like monitor the time you do it? So if you ever, like remember your kid, you got like that new toy, maybe you got it on Christmas or your birthday and you're like, you were so enamored. You open it, you go over in the corner and like 10 hours goes by. That's how I looked at my first year of wholesaling. I was so blown away with what wholesaling could do in my life. I said, oh my God, this is amazing. If I can keep doing this over and over, like I can become financially free. So my biggest requirement when I started wholesaling, I was just tired of working 12, 14 hours a day and coming home and putting my kids to bed. And then my wife was done. And I was like, I just never got any time from Monday through Saturday and I hated it. So that is year one. So honestly, Jonte, I worked a lot. And honestly, guys, you can't gauge. So keep in mind, I was doing a full-time job 6 days a week, and I was probably spending an extra 4 hours a day on wholesaling. And that was all talking to customers and marketing. And honestly, I didn't know I had no idea what I was doing. It was just working. And I'm here to emphasize to you, don't wait till you know everything in wholesaling because it's never going to come around. So you just take action and you keep learning steps as you go and you make money while you do it. So if I'm reading your guys' comments, so I don't mean to get distracted. So, okay. So year one, year two was better. Okay. I doubled my output and I netted. Okay. So the first one, I didn't do correctly on the net. This one, I netted 350,000. So I took off my marketing costs, which is about, I always did light marketing budgets between like 25 and 30,000 and I netted it out of this number. Now, 32 deals, I'm here to tell you, by yourself, it is a handful, but you're averaging like 2.5 deals a month, which to me wasn't that big of a deal. It was actually doable. The second year, I took time trying to figure out how to set up a business and how to run this. And I was just starting to drive myself a little bit nuts because remember, I did all sales appointments. I did all incoming leads. And to be honest with you, I got like really efficient at this stuff. Okay. Be honest with you, I was doing 40, 50 hours a week minimum. Okay. Plus I worked Saturday and I planned on Sunday. So I'm here to tell you guys, I'm not going to tell you I did this on like 4 or 5 hours like every other day. It's not. If you really want to learn this business, you got to dive in it. But honestly, I've done a lot of businesses and I own different businesses outside of real estate. It's the same thing in any business you do. You get excited about it, you spend a ton of time in it, and that's how you learn. So there's very few businesses where you can just buy and walk away from. And if you do, you're probably going to get killed. Someone's going to take advantage of you because that's how business works. Because I've done that before. So it's not that easy just to buy it. So 2004. 2005 was like I got this business licked. I've got it figured out. Man, I'm having a blast. At this point, I was in over my head. I knew I needed help. I tried to bring other people in, and I had a lot of pain. I got ripped off. I got deals stolen from me. I believe I encountered my first lawsuit in 2005, which is a whole nother video. I was sued by another fellow investor that I thought we were friends, but apparently we weren't. And so we got up to 45 deals, and I netted 720, 725 was my calculation when I did it. And I'm here to tell you guys, that was a challenge. It was a challenge. I'm starting to feel a little bit burnt out. So I started bringing in people and I started spending money at this point. And you're going to see the connection I have on this. So Ethan says, listen, any advice on for someone just starting? Yeah. Go to freewholesaling.com and find your why and understand if you have the conviction and you want to see it out and you really want to change your life, you got to stick out wholesaling. You can't just put your toes in the water like anything else. Okay. So 2005, it's good. I'm burning out. It's a lot of work. The real estate market back in 2005 would have been comparable on how it was in like 2018, 19, right before our pandemic hit. It was really good. So the market was good. I was getting better. And I go, okay, listen, I just want to hit $1 million. How do I hit $1 million? I didn't want to hire a bunch of people because I felt like I wasn't the best communicator at the time. And I wanted to get there like kind of on my own. And to be honest with you, it was probably a mistake at the time. There were so many good people out there that could help you out. It would have helped out wonderfully. So 2006, notice I increased by 5 deals and I went up to 850 grand. And I got a story because 2006, when I really woke up and figured out, okay, there's more to wholesaling than just doing the max amount of deals. And I'm going to walk you through how I did that because it's not always about quantity, guys. Because for almost 4 years, I thought quantity was the answer for absolutely everything, and it's not. So 850, you think I'd probably make a little bit more money at this time. So at this time, I did have a part-time VA, and the VA, I'm not going to say anymore. I recruited my wife to come over and leave her teaching job to help me in dispo because it came, I just didn't have time to sell the deals and I was giving them away. So, but she worked for free, so I don't really count her towards my overhead. So basically I'm at 1.2 employees because the VA, at the time they were $3 an hour. So 2007, guys, 2007 was the peak of the market before the meltdown happened. The big, so if you're not familiar, way back when, what was it, 10, 12 years ago, there was a mortgage bubble. So the banks were giving mortgages to everyone. It wound up being disastrous. Everyone defaulted on the loans, and you're going to see where the party ended real quick here. So 2007, I did 46 deals. I did less deals. I had basically some core employees, and I made $1,056,000. So, guys, it took me about 3.5 years to really get there. You call it 4. Keep in mind, the first year I had another job while doing that, although I'm not proud of it, but I did make an extra $95,000 with it, but it was all on a W-2 paycheck. So It took me 3.5, 4 years to get to that first $1 million. I'm going to be honest with you. I probably took me 3 years too long, and I didn't have any type of navigation. I have anything to bounce off anybody, and I still did it. And honestly, I fought through a lawsuit. I probably went through 6 or 7 employees while I did this. I fired good people. I hired bad people. I made every mistake you could humanly possibly. So I'm not looking for you to duplicate what I do. Like, I just want to kind of give you a barometer in what's happening. Now, you guys all know what happens next, right? 2008 hits. I got to tell you, the carpet got pulled out from under me because there was very few buyers because the prices were so high for real estate. And it took buyers like 1.5 years it took sellers 1.5 years to 2 years to accept that their properties weren't worth $1 million anymore. Does it sound familiar, guys? I'm here to tell you, we are going kind of through that exact scenario right now. Prices are rolling back, inventory's creeping up, and cash buyers are like, okay, I need a really good deal. So this is how it's relatable, okay? The problem is I got stuck with one way of doing business, and it kind of backfired on me. So from 2008 on, for about 6 months, I struggled to sell really anything. I'm going to be honest with you. I was frustrated. And I was selling deals. I was normally making $30,000, $40,000. I was taking $5,000 and $6,000 assignments. Now, the good news is I survived. But I buried my ego and took what I did to have to pay my bills because the one thing I didn't do right during this, and I want you guys to understand this, it's not always how much you make, it's how much you keep at the end of the day. And I just kind of bought whatever I want. I had a lot of money coming in. I made ridiculous commitments. I bought a house out by the beach, a vacation home. I bought like really nice cars. Stupid. Like, honestly, I really regret it. It set me way back. And I'm here to tell you, not only do you have to learn how to make the $1 million, but more importantly, you got to learn how to keep it and how to work through it. And I've worked my lessons through. I'm at 20 years now, and honestly, I'm at the point where I get it. Sometimes I think it takes me longer to grasp concepts, but once I get it, like, I'm locked in. But remember, I started at 33, so if any of you guys out there in your teens or your 20s, you have such a head start on a guy like me, it is like you can do amazing things. So if you're starting out before 33, you're so far ahead of me, you are going to do better than I am. I am so confident. The one thing I can tell you is I don't care how much money you make. At the end of the day, it's how much you keep. Now, I'm not one of those guys where I tell you to live under a rock because tomorrow's not guaranteed, but you can't be going out and buying things that you know that you can afford now, but you don't know what a rainy day is for tomorrow. So that's my story. I want you to understand probably the biggest takeaway from wholesaling that I've learned really in the last 20 years is quality versus quantity. The ability to make more per deal with less effort is the skill set you gain in wholesaling each year you go by. So right now, my average wholesale deal is close to $50,000 right now. Okay. I don't have California prices. I'm not flipping $1 million homes. Okay. I don't do any rehab. Some of them I wholesale. I'll be brutally honest with you, but it's a very, very quick transaction, and I have the funds to set that up. You are going to do the same when you get that ability too. In the beginning, that first 4 years, 90% of what I did was 100% on wholesaling and assignments because I had no money. I had no way to fund them, and hard money was brutal. I tried it a few times, and I didn't make a lot of money. So I love quality over quantity. Anybody who preaches to you about the amount of deals they do, ignore it. It's regardless. It's done as an ego thing, and they're typically going to try to sell you something. I'd rather you do one deal, make 100 grand, than do 30 deals that made you 2 grand. It's just simple math. How hard do you have to work when you do it? And you got to understand it. That was probably my biggest takeaway. So the things I learned when I first became a millionaire, I stopped focusing on quantity, and quality rules. I can tell you, hands down, that is probably the biggest single takeaway that I can share with you in my journey. And it's the one thing that probably took me about 12 years to completely understand. So I stopped focusing on quantity, quality. Okay. Focus on the net, not the gross. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a huge trend going on in real estate right now, in the coaching community, that basically says, I did $5 million in real estate. Okay, dude, when people talk like that, disregard it, because they're doing it to try to catch your eye and impress you, okay? It's like giving you a math problem without giving you all the data, okay? So do you know how many companies right now make billions of dollars and they lose money? A lot, okay? So if they go, listen, I did $3 billion in sales, you're amazing. You're not, because if you had $5 billion in expenses, you're losing your ass. Sorry. That's just the truth. So whenever a influencer comes out and goes, I did $10 million in sales. Okay, did you spend $11 million to get it? That's my question. So whenever you nail someone and try to find out what they make in a net, if someone talks in net numbers, I'll have a conversation with them all day. If you just want to tell me what your sales are, it's regardless. Did you know a majority of companies lose money? 95% of them go out of business. When people just share their sales numbers, don't be fooled, okay? My favorite part is people go, oh, I raised, somebody went on the internet recently and says, I raised $50 million. It's not your money. I don't care. I'm impressed that you can raise that kind of money, but the question is, what can you do with that kind of money? And that's what people have to understand when it comes to real estate. So focus on the net. Anyone who just talks about their sales number, be very, very wary. There's usually a sales pitch coming right behind it. That's my 20 years experience. I'm telling you, test it out, guys. If someone tells you, oh, I just made him the best part is when they show like a $500,000 check, but 480 goes to pay back the loan on it. It's great. Your win's 20 grand. That is awesome. That's what you need to celebrate. But so much fakeness out there drives me nuts. Okay. Here's the one thing I've learned. Wholesaling is my foundation to my success. I never forget it. I will never change my outlook on wholesaling. And there's a big crowd out there who wants to tell you wholesaling's bad. Everybody does it wrong. Dude, I have thousands of you guys who have shared testimonials I've never even asked for you. And you go, man, it's incredible. It's changed my life. So once again, if someone's spinning you a negative on wholesaling, and wholesaling is not for everyone, don't get me wrong. Watch out. You have a sales pitch coming behind it. Okay. I got a special course. It'll teach you a different technique. I have a course where we can replace this contract with that one. Guys, it's all games. Okay. Wholesaling is a great foundation. You're going to find most people that got really good at real estate, but they started out wholesaling and then they knock it down the road. It's ridiculous. Give tribute to what got you where you are. Without wholesaling, honestly, I would be a different man today. And I would still be an honorable, good father, but I'm just telling you, it changed the trajectory in my life in such an extreme way. And if I didn't do it, I would have struggled. It would have probably taken me 15 years to even slightly get the success I did at year 4. Okay. Here's a key one, guys. Never stop marketing. The only time I ever had troubles in my first 3 and 4 years is when I stopped marketing. So here's how it goes. We get all our lists. We get our marketing channels ready. We deploy them. Calls come in. We go out and visit people, start writing offers, start inspecting properties, get down to it. Then we find cash buyers. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to do the marketing every time. And it got to the point I sat down on a New Year's resolution. I came up with a marketing budget schedule and I go, I'm holding to this no matter what happens. I actually handed it to my wife and she held me accountable for it. I hated every minute of it. But once again, that put me to where we always had opportunity. So if you're a single operator, which a lot of you are, understanding you have to keep marketing even during the worst of times, because without marketing, you're dead. The downside of wholesaling is we don't get a lot of repeat customers. So we always have to be going out there chasing people and finding deals. That is the thing I hate about wholesaling, but it's never, very rarely do I get someone that comes, oh, I sold you this house. I've had one person sell me 7 houses only because I knew their entire life was a train wreck. And I set it up at the beginning. I'm going to buy all 7 of your houses. And I built such rapport with them. Now it took a 5-year process and I bought them all. Those are repeat customers. But for the most part, most people are one and done on wholesales because most of them should never own a property again. But they're not all like that. Okay. So never stop marketing. This is the key one I talked to you earlier about. All this money you guys are earning in wholesaling, it's what we call earned income. It means you earned your butt off to get it. Okay. You have to find a way to take that as much as that earned income and turn it into passive income. I don't care if it's real estate, stocks, bonds, digital assets, whatever you choose. You're never going to be perfect on it. I've gotten my butt kicked on a lot of this stuff. I only teach you what I'm really good at. Okay. So understanding, me and Zach never went in, taught anyone how to do digital assets or anything like that, because I'm just like you guys. Actually, I'm looking for leadership from people that have done it before. Most of that stuff is speculative other than real estate. I own a lot of real estate and I enjoy it. I particularly like the commercial aspect of owning things. And here's how I look at real estate. When I buy real estate, other than personal use for the family, I look to own it forever. Like, I don't have an exit strategy. It's in my will. Like, that's my legacy. That's what I want to pass down. Obviously helping as many as you guys. So guys, if you go out there and bust your butt for this, don't do what I did my first 4 years and spend it all. Okay. That first year, that second year, that third year in wholesaling, that will be the most important money in your life, because that's the money that will grow and truly set you up for whatever you want. In wholesaling, we never talk about retirement because I really love what I do. I enjoy it. So I'm probably going to chase deals till the day I die. I just enjoy it. I don't worry about retirement. Retirement shuts your brain down. It's really rough on people. My father's 87 and he still works to this day, and I want him to because it keeps him active and it keeps him stimulated. So we have to do the same. We have to stay active. We have to keep going. Okay, so here is the key tips I've learned once since first becoming a millionaire, and I don't forget this, okay? You always have to be learning. Me just talking to you guys, I learn a lot from you guys, okay? Likewise, I know you guys learn a lot, but like honestly, sometimes I learn so much because I've been confined to the southeast part of the United States, and I love talking to people in California, Utah, Texas, and I learn so much when I do it. So you always have to be opening. The minute you are closed-minded, life's going to get really, really short. And that's just not business and real estate. Okay? Guys, how many times I tell you this? You have to lose your ego ASAP. Your ego will be the one thing that will kill you in wholesaling. Okay? I see guys all the time when their ego gets stuck. It's brutal. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It is a hard pill to swallow. Okay? We all think we're right all the time. And I'm just here to tell you, it's the minute I decided to let my ego go, I could open up to people's advice. It doesn't mean you always get good advice. You're always going to get bad advice out there. But you could at least let information in and make a decision on how you want to move forward. Listening to someone, the only thing you're going to lose is time. And I don't want to give up my time ever. But I will listen for an opportunity that's going to make me money or help me grow my business. Okay? This ego thing, I can't tell you. I struggled, honestly, my first 10 years. I thought I was the greatest thing since sliced bread. When the market correction happened, you want to talk about being humbled? I was humbled, okay? And I'm here to tell you, if you're starting right now and you're just barely paying your rent, you need to be that same person when you got $1 million in the bank, okay? And I don't say this to scare you. Like $1 million, it's not even a lot of money anymore. Considering 20 years ago, $1 million seemed like a lot. Today, $1 million is a whole lot less in regards to inflation. But regardless, it is still a venture you want to get to. Okay, here's the next one. Paying a coach or a consultant does not guarantee your success. It's you. So many people think, I'm going to hire this person, that it sounds perfect for what they want to do. The problem is if the pitch is too perfect, it's been, what's the word? It's been manipulated to the point where it's supposed to sing to you because it's going to solve every one of your problems. And if you buy it, all your problems are solved. Okay. If the message sounds too good to be true, 9 times out of 10 it is. If someone goes, hey, listen, are you tired of wholesaling? Are you tired of being like every other investor and getting beat up? I have a much easier way to do it. And you just pay full price for the property and you'll still make the same amount of money. Now, in theory, that sounds perfect. Awesome. The reality on that, I don't think any of that's true. Some of it's true, but you're going to have to put that same concerted effort to do that as you are wholesaling. So you might as well learn the core foundation first. Here's what I've experienced. People that try to skip wholesaling, like I like it, but I don't want to compete and do all that. I don't want to do cold calling. I don't want to knock on doors. I don't want to mail. And then they try something else first. Most of the time they fail because you're avoiding the task that is most painful, which is learning the core of wholesaling. The cool thing about wholesaling is you learn how to talk to people. You talk to sellers, obviously. You talk to buyers. You talk to title companies. You talk to lawyers. You talk to everybody. You talk to realtors. And you're going to have to do that in all areas of real estate investing. So you might as well take the one that minimizes your risk, maximizes your return, and wholesaling is 100% it. So whenever I see somebody who has a pitch, I have a way around wholesaling. No, you don't. You got a course to sell. Just tell me what the course is and I'll let you know if I'm in. Oh, I have to do a discovery call? Let me guess. There's going to be a salesman on the other side. Listen, I'm okay with hiring consultants and stuff. My theory, and I know Zach agrees along with me, is learn wholesaling as a foundational start to your real estate investing. Put the money in your bank. My suggestion is get to 100 grand and then make decisions which way you want to spend your money. Okay. Or you can go straight to $1 million like I did, drive yourself a little bit nuts. But I don't want you to take 4 years to get there. A lot of you can get there in 2 or 3 years. Okay. Let's see what else. Gross sales is a smokescreen. Beware. Someone tells you I sold $10 million in real estate. It means nothing. What did you net? What did you put on your tax return and when it was all said and done? That's all that counts, guys. So if I tell you I did $500,000 in real estate fees this month, awesome. How much did you spend to get that? How much did you spend to get that? Okay, like be honest. If you spend 100 grand, that's fine. You still made 400. But all of a sudden, it's like crickets every time you ask. Well, you know, we didn't really. You spent something. Nobody makes 500 grand where people just pour in your door. It doesn't work that way in wholesaling. Okay, wholesalers do not need an office. I'm going to repeat. If you're starting out wholesaling, you do not need an office. Sorry, argue. I've had 5 of them. I didn't need it. So the one I had, I did have 12 employees at one point. I tried the Mac Daddy deal, and here's what I learned. 4 years of scaling real estate hardcore. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of transactions. I had no more freedom of time. I was chained behind a desk. I constantly had to do it. And then I had to keep hiring like general sales managers. You talk about COOs, CFOs, and you have to even ramp up your operations higher to cover those costs. So when you grow an operation and you scale it, I mean, truly, sales staff, the whole thing, and I'm not knocking it. Like, I think it's amazing when people do it. Here's the secret. I made less money than when I worked by myself and a few employees because you typically take on a partner, you start, then you got to have a general manager, you got to have a sales manager, you have to have a transaction coordinator. And by the time it said you could do $4 or $5 million in sales, and maybe have like a $1.5 to $2 million profit. And by the time you split it with all the partners and the bonuses, guess what? My 1.056 million blew it all away. Okay. So I'm no longer to a point where I have to hit a certain number. I know exactly what my company is going to make. And I've done this for a long time and I know how to adapt and make it. To me, it's not about how much I make. It's number one, how much I keep and how much free time do. If I want to go out and go fishing, can I go out and go fishing? And honestly, in the first 5 years, it wasn't even an option, guys. Not even close. So if you've ever had young children and you've like worked your butt off, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So here's, honestly, this is a monster takeaway. You ready? I stopped trying to look wealthy and I decided to become wealthy. Okay. Now, I didn't figure this out till year 3.5, 4. Okay. I did it all wrong in the beginning, guys. I spent it all. So if you take anything away from this, I want you to understand, like I'm human just like everybody else, but you have to not only change your thinking about real estate, you have to change your thinking about how this world operates. Everything out there is, most of the stuff out there is trying to fulfill your needs. That's how marketing works. But the problem is you have to have short-term pain for long-term pleasure. And we do it opposite in society. So I want you to read this line again. I stopped trying to look wealthy and I decided to become wealthy. If you can write that on your bathroom mirror, on your wall, if you convince your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your kids, once they understand that, and I taught that, Zach, at an early age because I made a mistake. I taught my daughter, I taught my wife, and we went through some painful lessons is, what do I mean by looking wealthy? When you lease like a high-end Mercedes and it looks really cool and you're paying $950 a month and you're basically renting the car, who are you impressing? You're not impressing me. Oh, you're going to impress the Joneses next door. I get it. Okay. Guys, I don't own a mortgage on like the personal houses I own. Like I remember when I paid off my mortgage, I'm like, oh my God, like this is the ultimate freedom. And I'm just here to tell you, when you decide to become wealthy, no one's going to see it at first. You actually have to build the house from inside out. Okay. Everybody looks at like your house, your car. Don't ever judge a person by the car they drive or the house they own, because the smart ones live well below their means. And to be honest with you, I've lived well out of my means more times than I care to share. And I've just stopped that bad habit. One day you got to go, okay, I can't do it anymore. Don't kick yourself. Enjoy what you have and go, listen, if it does not make a better financial future for me, I don't want to do this. Now, guys, I'm not telling you not to go on vacation. I'm not telling you to like make your kids starve. I'm just telling you, do you really need that Mercedes? Could you go buy a Honda Accord? Honda Accord's nice. I have a Honda Accord. I like it. Okay. If you can't afford the car or you're struggling with the monthly payments, you're probably buying too much of a car. Go buy a used car. Like, you've got to make stuff work. I know you're going to get some crap from your neighbors, but honestly, you better start figuring out that fight now, because if you keeping up with the Jones, you're never going to get ahead. And when you make your money wholesaling, you're going to spend most of your time trying to look wealthy. Honestly, a 2 to 3 year sacrifice, you don't have to look wealthy and you live well below your means, you will become very wealthy quick. Wealth is a measurement between how much money you make and how little you spend. The wider that gap, the wealthier you are, the more room you have. Okay. Now, I will tell you this, in wholesaling, I'm a big fan of having a 3 to 6 month cushion for bills, because we don't get a paycheck on a weekly basis. So once you get off that crack of a paycheck, you know what I'm talking about, you have to have a buffer. Now, if you're a little more conservative, you go 6 to 9 months. Don't go past 12 months, because you got to make that money work for you. Guys, I'm telling you, take this one. Stop trying to look wealthy and decide to become wealthy. It will change your outlook on life. Okay. And then here's a big one. At some point, you have to sit down and just become accountable to yourself. I should say yourself. It says myself. Oh, well. What do I mean by that? You know for a fact, if you sit there and tell yourself lies and it doesn't come true, it's what breaks you down as a person. Forget what other people think about you and all that stuff. That's a whole nother conversation. You know, if you make a commitment to yourself and you break it, like say, listen, I'm taking my daughter to this play on Saturday at 4 p.m. You committed to her, you've publicly committed, and then you come up with some lame excuse. Oh, I got to work. There's nothing more important than your family. And then you got to look at yourself in the mirror and go, I just broke a promise to the person, one of the people I love the most in my life. You got to do the same level in wholesaling. Okay. If you committed to go, okay, I'm going in full and I'm never going to stop marketing. You stop marketing, you're only lying to yourself. So the first thing to become accountable is make sure you're telling yourself the truth. And the next thing is go, okay, I screwed up. This is how I'm going to fix it. And here's how I'm going to prevent it from happening again. Once you have this conversation with yourself, no one's ever going to hold you higher accountability than yourself. Now, if you need to get an accountability partner and get your butt kicked, hop on. I'll kick your butt and kick it all the way. But you got to teach yourself to hold yourself accountable, because you have more conversations with yourself than anybody else out there. Okay? And then last but not least, you guys, life's too short. You got to have fun. Like, Rick, how do I have fun wholesaling? Dude, just have fun. Get people to smile. Get people to laugh. People that are extremely difficult outside of sellers, move on with your life. And some sellers, there's not enough money in the world to deal with them. Like, there's some problems you just can't deal with in wholesaling. Remember, you're a part-time psychologist. You're sometimes a cop. You're definitely a welfare worker. And a lot of times you're a psychiatrist with these people. Because every time I go, you have got to be kidding me. My favorite thing in the world is sit down with my salespeople, and they tell me the stories going on. I go, you got to be kidding me. And ask them all the time. I go, can I get in the car? Can I go meet this person? They go, watch it. She has like multiple personalities. So by the way, I've dealt with so many people with multiple personalities. Not that I'm an expert on it, but I understand how they think. It's crazy. I didn't even think it existed until I met people. And like we knew the day we had to meet with them, talk to them. We even talked to their family members and the title company to make sure we weren't going to have an issue. So, guys, that is it. Let me get off of here. That's it. So really, it took me 3.5 years to make $1 million. It was not a sexy road at all. And honestly, I had multiple times where I wanted to just throw in the towel. I was just so frustrated, or a deal would break my heart, and I didn't have a lot of deals going at the time. And then I just learned lots of volume. The more people I talked to, the better I was going to do. And the day I decided I didn't want to look wealthy, I wanted to become wealthy, and I was accountable to myself, my entire world changed. My physical appearance, my health, everything. I just go, hey, this is it. And listen, there's two ways to go in life. Life's hard, guys. Like it's hard, but it's not. And what do I mean by hard? You can choose your hard load. That's the beauty of life. Okay. So like in fitness, you can choose to be super out of shape, morbidly obese, and very heavy. And it'll be easier for a while, but it'll get to the point, it'll get so hard you have to make a critical decision, and then you got to go to the extreme side. Or you could try to stay fit, eat better, you don't smoke, you limit your drinking, and that's hard too. But you have options on that side. Financial, you can be dead broke, paycheck to paycheck, buy whatever you want, go crazy on eBay, Amazon, or you can live conservatively for a couple years, make your money work for you, and then you get to do whatever you want with life. And I'm just telling you, life is hard. You got to pick which extreme you want. If you choose the discipline route, it seems painful in the beginning because nobody else does it around you. But in 3 years, I promise you, these people will bury you. They're going to ask you for money. They'll go, hey, listen, how do I do what you do? The reality is they don't want to do what you do. They just want your final destination. They don't want anything to do with the journey. So I understand that when people say, hey, Rick, how can I get to your status? I go, just wholesale a deal. And I just do one, then do two, then do three, and keep going. And just keep going. And along the journey, I promise you, you will figure it out as you go. So many people want to figure out how to open this big, giant business, and they don't want to do the journey. They just want to be at the destination. I'm just telling you that doesn't exist. So whenever I'm at like a function, I get this a lot with like family stuff. They go, oh my God, I'd do anything to be in your shoes, Rick. I'm like, really? Would you? Would you do anything? And I go, listen, explain, what would you do? Well, I would kill to do exactly what you do. I go, that's fine. I go, you got 20 minutes. I'll tell you exactly what to do tomorrow so you can get my shoes, the journey to it. And 9 times out of 10, they go, I'm not going to do that. Okay, well. So like everybody wants to be thin, but nobody wants to go through the discipline to get there. And that's the reality of wholesaling. So I see your guys' comments. Let me get caught up here. First to make sure. Okay. So what's up, Corey? What's up, Erica? Guys, if you like the content, do me a favor, smash the like button, and let people know what we do. So here's a good one. I don't even know if Zach's watching right now. Hey, what does Zach do on Friday? That's a dang good question, and that's probably a question you should ask him on here. To be honest with you, I always preach to you guys a balance in life. And although Zach is a very, very young man, and he's still my little boy to me, he's got an insane work ethic. But I got to be honest with you, I had it my entire life. I just went the wrong direction with it. So you guys you ever worked your butt off for someone, you didn't get the reward you think you were going to get? I understand it. So I want Zach to go out and he basically gets Friday off. Like he wants it. He can have a long weekend. I will tell you, he works insanely. He connects with everybody, and he's still a very, very young man. So he goes out and does what like a normal kid does. Guys, when we do wholesaling, honestly, like I'm a normal person outside of this stream. Like I'm exactly who you see right now. But I like to go out and have like a good time and hang out with people, and you can get coffee, you can get drinks, you can have dinner. Like I do all that stuff. Like I enjoy it. Like completely normal people. It's kind of funny because every now and then me and Zach are out and like someone will recognize us. I'm like, honestly, we're just regular Joes. Like I think that's the draw to like what we do. Like everything we do is transparent. So I will hit Zach up and see what he's doing. Maybe he'll chime in. He's probably out in town having a good time somewhere. I saw him like an hour ago. So the funny thing is, honestly, I pretty much see the kid every day. And that is a side effect of wholesaling because I'm able to do business with family. My wife's involved. My son's involved. My daughter is my emotional support in this. I have a dog that's insanely dependent on me, but I love him to death. So wholesaling can change your life. I really want you guys to consider it when you do it. So let me take a look here. Corey says his office is your bedroom. I'm just telling you. Sellers don't give a crap where your office is. And honestly, I had an office for 4 years once. I think I had half a dozen sellers come in. And you know who came in? It was the buyers, and it was like really annoying. So if you're going to spend $2 or $3 grand a month on an office, and that's a small office, spend that money on marketing. It will catapult your wholesaling. You'll thank me later. Okay? I says, the world is office. Guys, I'm telling you, wholesaling you should be able to do from anywhere. Okay? I know people that run much bigger operations than mine, and they do the whole thing remotely. So once you get it figured out, it works. So Scott says his office is basement. Dude, like sellers, they're usually one-time hits. They don't care where your office is. They just don't care. So if you want to go there and train everyone, by the way, you can train everybody on a call just like this. You can do it on Zoom. For God's sakes, Google does it for free. There is no limitations in working with people. So, okay, I think I got all the questions. Let's see here. Guys, and it doesn't matter your age when you're starting out. So somebody asks us, says, where do you park your money? It's a great question. So here's my theory on that, okay? I am very good at real estate. It's what I do, and so I stay in my lane. Like, I watch so many YouTubers, and honestly, I enjoy being able to interact and talk to people. But there's this trend where people like to go out, like they get overly confident, and then they're going to tell you, this is how you need to invest, and let's do a digital coin challenge and see how much. Guys, dude, complete distractions. Why are you going to give me advice on something you're experimenting on? That's really bad. Like if I gave you stock advice, don't take it, because I'm guessing just like a lot of you. I've lost plenty of money the last few months, like just like the rest of everybody on here. I don't give you advice on stuff like that. It's ridiculous. People who give you advice on outside their expertise, you've got to ignore it. It doesn't make sense to me, okay? I don't go into politics. Do I have beliefs? I do, but honestly, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm not a crazy right, I'm not a crazy left, any of that. I want to do what's right for this country and what's right for my family, and I make a vote and I move on with my life, okay? I don't spend eternity talking about, we need to do this, we need to do that. We have issues, guys. But I'm going to handle the issues in my business and my family first, and then I'm going to work out from there. Okay? The other thing is people just, a lot of religious stuff and stuff like this. You're never going to get that on this channel. I'm not going to do it. So if I tell you where to park your money, you probably don't want to follow my advice. I'm just like other people. I'm always trying to grow. Now, you do need to find assets that you're going to be able to grow your money. But like this, you hear when people tell you cash is trash lately. It's not trash anymore. It's actually, if you hold on your cash, I'd rather lose 8 or 9% to inflation than putting it in a stock market that is completely tumbling backwards. We have an entire earnings fest that's going to be brutal for the next 3 or 4 months. And honestly, sometimes if you park money, you can actually get so if I park the money, and then say I invested in November, December, and the market catapults 40 or 50%. Did I really lose 9, 10% inflation? No. Whereas if you put like 100 grand in the stock market in January, if you came back to it, you probably got about 60 grand left now. Okay. So I will tell you this, you're only going to hear real estate from me when you find a real estate expert that starts trying to sell you, like anything outside of real estate, run. Okay, there's a big push on the digital art. I'm not going to say it because I don't want it to pop up, but the TFN, guys, dude, you do not want to be the experiment for that one. Okay, they are making promises. I don't think most of them can fulfill down the road. Unlimited events we do. I'm going to do weekly coaching calls. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do lives. You have to prepay for all of it and cross your fingers they come through on it. So. The other thing you got to watch for is when someone says, I'm going to give you lifetime or an evergreen access. Honestly, you know how many courses I bought with evergreen and lifetime access, and the people either don't do that anymore or they shut their business down. Why not sell it? Because you're the only one that's going to be able to call them to the plate. And if they're out of the business, your only option is to sue them. It's ridiculous. So, okay. That's enough of my rant. That's kind of a Rick rant. I thought about doing like a Rick rant corner, but, I appreciate it, Scott. Thank you. Ismail's right. Grab fear by the throat. And and slam it to the floor. I heard one the other day where it said, fear has two meanings. It means fear everything and run, or what was it? Face everything and somebody help me out with it. I missed it on that. There's my ADHD kicking in. You guys don't want me talking too much. So let me jump on the live. So like a little heads up. If you guys just want as much help as possible, if you need help working on a deal, like a seller's pitch, or you even want to do any role playing, I'm happy to help with it. If you get on here and like rant about all your problems in life, and like, honestly, I'm looking to help you with solutions. So like, I'm going to make you accountable if you start complaining. Okay. I'm going to go into detail. I want to know what you did all day today. And if you don't know the answers, I already know where this is going. So I want to help out. Honestly, I do this for free. I don't have a course to pitch you. I have nothing. I'm here to help you out. So, let me jump on. I think I got Billy on first. He's been very patient. Let me clear this screen. And hey, what's up, Billy? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Is it my volume?
It was mine. I had it muted.
Okay, man. I'm looking for the remote. I can't find it, man. Hey, guys, by the way, guys, so you know when me and Zach do this, like, we're it. We don't have this giant staff behind the camera. I don't do these ridiculous, like, we try to make it as much value as we can do. And like, so we just learned how to do this stuff ourselves. But we're working on things to help you out. What's going on, man?
Yeah, you guys are awesome. I got a scenario for you. So you
Okay.
can up role playing, but first I got a little something to get going here.
Okay, shoot. Oh Lord. Dude, is that a what kind of drink is that?
That's what we do when we're in the Coast Guard. Keep us awake.
Oh yes. Okay, so you're in Key West, right?
Yeah, I'm out here in Key West, Rick.
Yeah, I did. How old are you?
23.
So is that was an energy drink, right?
It was, yeah. I'm gonna be
Okay,
up to
I was thinking it was
8
that. So I used to do the same thing with another drink, and I did it. I did a lot in college, but is it nice and warm down there right now?
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
It's
really
sticky in Florida, man. I was out there today. I go, my God.
The sea breeze really does help out, but man, it is brutal.
Yeah, I'm heading down your way, and I don't know, 7 or 10 days. I got to go down there, do a little fishing trip. I'm not going to go all the way down Key West. It's so hard to drive down there now. So
it's tough. It's a long drive.
Yeah.
All right, Rick. So
okay, shoot, man, you're energized. I like it.
All right, congrats on here. I kind of noted a lot of questions I have, but I really just wanted to run you through a scenario.
Okay.
If you were 23 years old, with all of the knowledge you have, none of the income, nothing like that, you knew how to wholesale a deal from start to finish. You knew which leads were the best ones to pull. What kind of plan, what strategy would you use to get started? What leads would you target?
You're talking about wholesaling, right?
Right, to get your first deal with all of the knowledge that you have right now.
You know my answer is not going to change. It's going to be core consistent. Government list right now,
Right.
hands down. I've always loved code violations because I felt it was the fastest path to somebody with a problem. When people start falling apart, now code violation sometimes it doesn't work well in like the major metropolitan areas like San Francisco, like Manhattan, stuff like that, because a violation can be like a ridiculous thing on a $10 million building. So government list, honestly, whenever I struggled, and then honestly, like driving for dollars, I know it's not nearly as effective. Well, I know you're doing it virtual.
Yeah.
If you have the ability to do the driving for dollars, true story, when I had a staff of 12 and we were struggling, I forced everybody into a meeting. I gave everybody a yellow pad. Everybody got in their car, and we came back with 1,000 leads every time. Wow. And honestly, it was probably the best thing we ever did. And I had to constantly enforce it. What I should have been doing is scheduling it twice a week and make it on everyone's calendar. But when you got 12 employees, like you can do a lot more damage with stuff like that. But honestly, if it's just one person and you go out and get 100 leads, then that keeps you busy too. So many times the answer is in front of you. Right. You just got to go, okay, what can I do? So a lot of times I go, okay, you have some longer term marketing plays. Probate's a longer term marketing play. The biggest problem, people, they get impatient with probates. Well, it didn't work. I've gone 4 months and haven't even got a phone call on probates. Like, this is when we did inbound leads. Now we do a lot more outbound. But like, while you're waiting for stuff like that, the other thing you're missing, you're driving for dollars, is just networking. Like going out and talk. I guarantee you right now, I could go to a RIA meeting next week. You give me 2 hours in that room, I guarantee I'll walk out with a deal. Like, guaranteed. Only because I know the art of networking, and I'm going to find someone that found a deal, doesn't quite know how to do it. I'm going to pitch them how I can walk them through it and get them to the finish line, and I'm going to treat them with dignity. The problem at RIAs, there's a lot of like old investors there, and they do target the younger people, and they will take advantage of people. Like, I've been taken advantage of multiple times because I was naive. I just wanted to get deals done. I had no roadblocks. And then what happens when investors get older, they do the opposite way. They're like, oh, I'm not going to show you anything. I know it all. Like, you're going to have to go. You have to pay a tax to go through me. And I go. And so a lot of you see right now is why I do it this way. Because I've been through, dude, I've been ripped off hundreds of thousands of dollars just on mentorships and coaching. This is one of the reasons I do this. And like, I'm not the only one who does the story. Go talk to all the other big ones. They'll tell you. I went through 5 idiots to even figure out how to do wholesaling. When I did wholesaling, nobody taught it. And I had to figure out, and then I'd find a guy who did. I go, can you show me how to do it? He goes, yeah, I'll give you 10% of the deal. I would find the deal. He would take 90% and give me 10. Jeez. I was barely even a bird dog. And I got sick of it. And I'm here to tell you, the really cool thing, guys, even though I told you I was a fool for 4 years, I spent a crap load of money. Like, I make $1 million, I probably spent 2, like just like that. I bought stuff. And remember, when you're buying houses and amortizing cars and stuff, like, it seems cheap at the time until the bills start to come due. The thing is, even though when I didn't have a lot of money and I had to reinvent myself, like your clue is, I still had the skill set. I go, I can do this.
Right.
And long story short is, when we transitioned from 2007-8, I did have some extra money. I wound up buying an extra business. I'm not even going to go into the details. I spent a lot of money, and I thought I was buying cash flow. It had nothing to do with real estate, and I got my butt kicked. Yeah. And you know what I did? I hung on for that business for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And one day, my lawyer just looked at me and goes, why don't you just give it up? I go, yeah, but I'm going to lose $500,000. They go, just give it up. And I thought about it. I went home and I don't know, you call it pray. I meditated on it, and I just said, you know what, I'm done. And I sold it to another person. I lost, ready for this, $500,000 real cash that I earned from my real estate investing business. And the next day, I went out and I found a deal and I made $60,000. I go, what the hell did I buy that? And I learned a valuable lesson. It's so many people, like, if you want to buy a business, there's companies out there that will brokerage like business. They all lie to you. Oh my God. You think real estate's bad? That one's the worst. And so I went back to what I did, which was real estate. I love talking to people, and I learned a lesson. Even when I didn't have a lot of money, I went back and I made $60,000 like that. I go, okay, I know how to do this. Now I've learned all the lessons. So the big part of what you do is the journey, is you learn along the way. It doesn't matter if you're in the military, the Coast Guard, you're a real estate investor. As you know, from the day you joined the Coast, how long have you been in the Coast Guard now?
5 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Like from day one to where you are now, it's like the crap you learn. It's like, holy moly. It's like, there's no way you could have done it without like doing the experience. It's no different. I tell people all the time, like, you just have to embrace and have fun along the journey. Like, honestly, like me in the perfect world, if I could go back in time and I would have gone to the military, would have been perfect for me when I was a young man. I had a lot of energy. I love physical activity. I needed more discipline in my life, and once I follow a schedule, I'm like rock solid. And I didn't have it, and a lot of my people sort of, I just didn't understand it. I was rebellious. I was stupid. And I'm not here to say everyone should join the military, but I think if every kid got like a couple years in the military to understand like what goes on with it, I think it would benefit all of us. So that's not like listen, I love the military. I think it's really cool. I think it benefits any but young person because it kind of gives you skill sets. And I love, because the one thing military will force on you, like Coast Guard, everything, is discipline, right?
Oh, yeah, self-discipline.
And discipline is the hardest part of wholesaling. So I'm here to tell you, like when I was a young man, I loved to play football. I was okay at it. But my coach says, you got to go over and try this wrestling thing. I'll make a man out of you. I go, how much harder could it be in football? And I remember going from a football mindset, and I remember going to that wrestling mat. I walked out of there. I wanted to cry to my mama when I was done. I've never got my butt kicked so bad. Everything hurt. I could barely breathe. I was like, I didn't know the human body could even endure that. And it kind of woke me up. And meanwhile, I struggled wrestling. I did okay because I only had a year and a half. And then I learned it was all about discipline. And then fast forward, I go, hey, when my son was going up, I kind of guided him to wrestling. And I go, and I looked at him, I said, listen, if you can give it 4 years, it will teach you discipline. And like anybody who does, like, I love sports and events, but like I'm biased. I think wrestling is the one sport that makes you go out there. You have to be disciplined. You do have a team and you have to help your team win. But then it's an individual sport and it's painful. So like tennis would be equivalent, although they're just beaming a ball at you. But in wrestling, so I remember my son sitting out there, like, you have your like girlfriend in the crowd, your mom's there, and you go, oh my God, like the state champs on the other side. You know you're going to get your butt kicked. And you just got to still go out there and fight the fight. Like I know sometimes I got to go up against a lawyer. I know he's going to attack me. I'm just like, I'm still going to fight the fight if I have to do it. I know when I have to deal with a seller, it's extremely difficult. So like I pull life events out of like that. So like your military experience, I'm telling you, is going to be better than most wholesaling programs. It's just the truth because most people in wholesaling, they lack the discipline and they don't understand how to do it. Discipline is a skill set. It doesn't matter if you're folding your clothes, you're shining your boots, you're waking up at 5 a.m. It's a set, you do it, and you're just to go, this is non-negotiable, right?
Right.
If you can take that same mentality in Coast Guard and do it in wholesaling, you will do phenomenal.
It's not optional in the military.
What's that?
I said it's not optional in the military.
It's not optional. There's a consequence for it. And honestly, in business, there's a consequence if you're not disciplined. And it's not like you don't get kicked out, you just go broke.
Yeah.
And that's the consequence, and your whole family will suffer. So, like, I really commend what you're doing because, like, it's hard enough to concentrate just doing, like, the military alone. And so, like, the life lesson is, even in wholesaling, if you do something so stupid, like you go out and buy a $3 million house, something stupid like I did back then, is it just, like, it was too soon, too quick, and they were giving loans away like candy at the time. I could have bought anything. The bag boy at the local grocery store could have bought anything. That's why you created the mess. So I learned a valuable lesson when it was all said and done. I go, I have the skill set. Nothing can take it away from me. I'm just going to go out and apply it. I'm getting rid of all the crap in my life, and I'm just going forward. Now, when I do a deal, I live on what they call the 20% rule. Have you heard of that one? Let me explain it real quick. I'm teaching everyone a lesson here.
Yeah,
if you can learn, whatever you make, if you can live off 20% of that paycheck or whatever it is, you'll do phenomenal. They go, well, Rick, I only make 40 grand a year, 40 times 20, that's 8 grand. I go, see, now you're starting to understand how the problem works. The problem is not the 8 grand, is you just got to go make more money. Okay. Because here's what happens. Okay. You make 100 grand. Now I got 20 grand to live. That's not going to do much these days. But a lot of people are living at home. You're like in the military, you can set the money aside. Now you make 200 grand. Like, okay, I got my wholesaling go. 20% rule, right? That's 40 grand. Okay, now I'm barely getting by. I can do it. What I've learned is if you can, listen, you make 20, you make it 25, you can make it 30. I don't give a crap. Okay, 35 to 40% of your money is going to taxes. If you like it or not, it's going one way this. Sales tax, property tax, it's endless, okay? And when you get to my tax bracket, they're taking 33% of it, like right off the top, okay? Once you start making $300,000 and $400,000, I showed you that, it's really easy to do 20% rule. The problem is most people wait till okay, when I make $500,000, I'll follow Rick's discipline plan. You won't. I went through this. It took me 7 years to accept that truth, okay? 4 years out spending and 3 years of figuring out how to redo it. So maybe you go, okay, I'm going to take 40% of my money or 45 and then go, okay, every year I'm going to dwindle it down another 5%. If you do that in the beginning, the reason why Zach is so successful to do it, I started having him invest when he was 14 years old. Now, he didn't know anything about real estate. He knew of it. And then he did the stuff like take 10% of your income, set it aside. Do you know what that stuff does when you're 14 years old, like 10 years down the road? It's phenomenal. So he lives under the mantra, like he's extreme. Like he's well below the 20%. But in the beginning, people are like, well, I can't live off 8 grand. I go make more money. And that's the whole point of the whole problem there is you don't have any, you don't have an expense problem, you have an income problem, as Grant Cardone would say, and that's what you need to do. I love what you do. Like, honestly, if you can take your discipline and my course and like blend it together. And how old are you now?
I'm 23 now. I've
Oh
been
my
in the
God.
military since I was 18.
That's amazing. Honestly, if I had to go back in time, I probably would have done that. And I don't know if
I
whatever.
graduated. Yeah, I graduated high school a year and a half early, and I worked as a
And
rough.
yeah, and then you get benefits of the military even if you decide to go out of it to a point, right?
Oh yeah, I still get
Yeah.
certain health benefits and GI Bill and
You guys know what I pay for? This is crazy, but like this is the screwed up part of being an entrepreneur. You know what I pay for my family's health care? And like my son's on his own. Like he's completely on his own.
how much?
2 G's a month.
Jesus.
That's just what, because I don't qualify for like government programs, because if you make a certain amount, you just don't do it. So it's insane, but like that's how the world works. But I do go out and get like the best. Like after you spend $1,500, you might as well just go out and get the best you can. So
I would say that is.
and I don't do this to scare you guys, but like after you make like 100 grand, like you got to go out, everything's private and you got to go out and pay for it. That's fine. So it's not to scare you, but you do get better coverage with it. But the expenses will go from there. So I didn't mean to go off on a tangent. What else can I answer for you? I'm just telling you, if you get the skill set, no matter, even if you screw up completely, as long as you're alive, you can take that skill set. They can't take it away from you. The only way they can take it away from you if you commit a felony. It's really hard to do real estate behind bars. I'm just telling you. I've yet to see anybody that can do it. So if you avoid that part of it, you're fine. So, and the only way you can get in trouble in real estate like that, if you completely mislead people and like lie.
Right.
That's when you get in trouble on it. So
It's got to kind of disclose that you're doing wholesale.
yeah. That's why I'm excited, guys. I went through the lesson. I sat there. I go, oh my God, I'm broke. This didn't work out. That didn't work out. I bought a business that didn't work out. And guess what? I went back to what made me successful in wholesaling, and I go, okay, I got this. I got a few tears out, and then I went to work, and I made like 600 grand in like 6 months period. I'm like, I can't believe. And then I worked out. Everybody owed money, and I just straightened it out. And in 1 year, I was fine. And I'm just here to tell. But then, I started rehabbing properties. I got in over my head, and then we couldn't sell them. And it took me 2 years to unwind that mess from 08 and 09. And that's when I made my mistakes. And I'm here to tell you, we're going into one of these types of markets. And for those of you who have been wholesaling and everything's just been incredible for 2 years, you're in for an awakening. It's going to be different. And the good thing about wholesaling is you're in the market for what it's worth today. If you're speculating, you will get killed. And speculating and wholesaling are two different things. The minute you cross over into speculating and think you're smarter in the market, it will correct you itself. Does that help you?
It does. I do have another thing that I got to ask.
Okay, shoot.
So with the contracts that you guys provide, I know you're not an attorney or anything like that.
I'm not an attorney.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you used these in Texas yourself or Zach?
Yes, we've done a few deals in there. So by the way, 90% of the time, if you give it to an attorney or a title company, they want to make changes. I don't care. As long as you're not giving up your rights. Do you understand? Every contract is open to interpretation. We take, in Florida, we have what they call the FAR bar. It's approved by the Board of Realtors and the whatever the association is for lawyers. They all agree. It's 21 pages. To this date, I still have lawyers and realtors that want to change stuff on it. And I'm just like, guys, if you two aren't happy with it, like knock yourselves out. As long as my price is right, my terms are correct, unless you're going to put some crazy clause in there, I don't care.
Right.
Well, we need to change it to on or before. I don't like that. Close by this day. Okay, whatever you want. And here's what attorneys want to do. And I have a lot of good friends who are attorneys. They just feel like if they don't get their 2 cents in and they don't get that fancy law degree to show in there, they're going to show it's right. So I don't fight people over contracts. Remember, a contract is just an agreement. I promise you this. I bought a piece of real estate on the back of a cocktail napkin at a courthouse step. I did it once. It was a really cheap house, an $8,000 house. The guy's like, do us like now. I go, if we can get it notarized, and did it. And they thought I was crazy at the courthouse. We got it done right there. I gave them a cashier's check. And they thought I was crazy. But I sat there with an attorney. with the approval of the court, they go, the only thing you need is an agreement of terms, price, and there's basically 5 elements you have to have in a contract. I'm not a lawyer. That's it.
That
It's
is,
just
that's
contracts are a template.
Yeah,
And-
that is legendary, Rick.
And by the way, over my 20 years, I've probably dealt with 500 different types of I just give up on, like, it's constantly adapting. So the latest trend, and I agree to a point, are like disclosures. Disclosures are just there so someone can't come back and sue you and say, I didn't tell you so. But I've had people sign documents that go, I didn't know I signed that. True story. I went to a car dealership today in a painful event of buying a car for my wife. I felt it was a closing I paid cash for a car, and it was like, disclosure this, disclosure that. I go, this is ridiculous. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like, well, we don't want you to come back and say you didn't have options for this and that. I'm just like, so what used to be 1 or 2 pages of paperwork is like 15 at a car dealership for cash. Is crazy.
What'd you buy? What'd you buy your wife?
It's a long story. I don't want to get into it.
I gotta know.
We're sensible with cars. I keep cars like 10 years, so it's just a simple SUV, nothing like $45,000 car. Like I'm not, dude. I used to be in the car business. Cars do nothing for me. You want to talk about boats, dude? I'll go to town on boats. I love boats to death. I live boats. They're amazing. And boats, like, you don't play around because you can't call AAA. And when you're halfway between here and the Bahamas, the Coast Guard's going to like, okay, if you were a big boy to get that far, you can figure out how to get home to a point, as long as your life's not in danger. So it's, I've had a lot of good friends in the Coast Guard, a lot of friends in Alamorada and Miami, and they kind of sit there and tell me every story. I've been saved by the Coast Guard multiple times. Yeah. I've been pulled over by the Coast Guard. I got pulled over in a high-end stakes tournament on a 70-foot yacht that I thought it was like really, really bad. It was on a really rough sea, and the Coast Guard boat pulled up, and the guy, I was working on the boat, and it was swaying. This is out of Key West, long time ago.
Really?
And I was only 19 years old, and I remember the outrigger coming over the boat, and the guy tried to prevent it, and then it got caught up. I believe it got caught up in the sonar of one of the Coast Guard boats, and I remember watching that thing. I was like, holy, and it snapped down on the Coast Guard boat. It was really nasty. And luckily nobody got killed, but it was like a $30,000 repair 15, 20 years ago. And the Coast Guard was really good about it, but like the captain was like, he was pissed. He's like, please don't touch the rigger. The rigger's down. So you know when those riggers are down. And it was interesting. But hats off to anybody in the military and the Coast Guard, the crap you guys got to put up with. Well, especially in the Keys, man.
I appreciate all the knowledge you're giving me to set me up when I get out.
Okay. Well, you got it. Like, honestly, though, but here's the thing is, if you guys learn a skill set, nobody can take it away unless you let somebody like brainwash you. And I had to figure it out the hard way when I hit hard times. I go, you know what? I know how to do this. And even my wife goes, she goes, you're really good at like talking to people in real estate. I go, you know what? Let's just sell the business. Whatever we get is what we get. I'm not going to, because it's like the person that's desperately trying to sell the house for $1 million, and the agents are like, dude, it's worth 600. The sooner you come to that acceptance, the faster you'll get rid of it. No, I'll find somebody. And you try everything for a year and you can't sell it, and it's like, oh my God, I should have just listened to her in the first place. I finally had that like coming to Jesus moment. I go, I just give up, and I moved. I was actually a motivated seller of a business. So by the way, I've been a motivated seller of real estate. I've like bought stuff wrong, and now that's why I like wholesaling. I get in and get out and make it happen. So keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate everything you do, and just keep calling back, and I'll help you out as much as I can.
Will do. I'm going to hit those utility lien lists and probates tomorrow.
I mean, guys, government lists right now with everything going on the market, they're not sexy, but they work. They work really, really good. So stick to it.
Thank you for your time. Rick.
Okay, Billy. Have a good one, man. Catch a fish.
God bless.
Okay, see ya. Okay. Sasha, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, have I seen you before?
I talked to you last week.
Okay. So listen, guys, my son has a ridiculous photographic memory. I just write mine off to old age. So if I don't remember you or like memorize your name, but if you come on here enough, I promise you I will learn you. Zach, the minute he sees he can go through the comments and he can identify like people. I'm just like, my God. I love doing the lives with him because he's kind of like the tech guy for me. And I could just talk for wisdom. But how can I help you out?
I'm You helped me last week. You explained the driving for dollars, the reverse driving for dollars, which helped me a lot. Um,
Okay.
and now I need to go to my court, I guess, and to pull probate because our system is a little crazy. Like they want you
Mm-hmm.
to look it up by name basis, and it's kind of impossible unless you specifically know somebody who's going through probate.
Okay.
So my next thing is I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should try FSBO on Zillow, like old listings.
Well, I'm here to tell you, those are going to become real popular because a lot of markets. So the one thing is like what happens in my market doesn't always necessarily happen in your market. So I try to be careful to go, okay, here's what's going on in Florida. Here's what if you guys truly want to understand like what's going on, is the market going to crash? The first thing is you have to be accountable to the market you do business in. How do you do that? It's real simple. Okay. Number one, use your listrei.com or batch or whoever you want to use to look at data. The data is like endless. You can spend 10 hours in there. Okay. Number two is Google your Realtors Association for the county that you're doing business in. So let me get an instance. I'm in like St. Lucie. I'm going to try to pull it up while I do this. I'm in, I do a lot of business in St. Lucie County. So I type in St. Lucie County Board of Realtors. I pop it up. Guess what? They have an online spot where you get monthly data for the last 20 years. Here's the downside. You get the data, but it's 3 to 4 months behind. Okay. That sucks, right? So what you can do is like right now I'm starting to pay attention to the data because now we have like May's coming out. And so I'm watching the numbers as they come out. And that's one way to find out what's going on in your local market because like Florida, the high-end stuff is struggling, but the low-end stuff is moving like lightning fast. But I'm hearing in other parts of the country, like all the stuff struggling. So if you guys really want a clear, crisp thing and stop relying on influencer stuff on the market, what's going on, all real estate is local. It's all local. What happens in my market doesn't mean it's going to happen in your market. Okay. So you have to take accountability and look at the data when you do that. As far as the probate, like your story is echoed like through everybody. Every county makes probates different, even in the same state, and it drives me nuts. Here's the key is once you figure it out and you crack the code, then you'll be fine. So for example, they're trying to have you look it up case by case by name, correct?
Yes.
It's BS. Okay. Do you not think that great court system, which we all pay taxes into, especially the locals, you don't think they have like a master docket of all the probates open? They do. Okay. How you get that information is going to be up to you, and you have to kill them with kindness. And remember, to beat resistance, you got to keep on them with persistence. Like they told me all the same stuff when I started doing probates. And guys, I told you I started in 2003 in real estate. Do you know when I started doing probates? 10 years later. I didn't understand it. I was scared to death of it. And so I'm here to tell you all the stuff you told me about probates, my personal experience in my local courthouse. Actually, the first time I did, I walked away and I'm like, I don't understand. And my wife reminded me, she's like, just stay in their face. They'll give you an answer. So sometimes it takes a family member to go like, you're stronger than that. Go back. And all I did was spend a lot of time with a lady. And she goes, listen, I'm going to break it down for you. And she gave me the secret code on how to get access to the docket as opposed to each individual case. Now, at one time, I got really creative, and I want you to think outside the box here. If you can't get through that wall, do you know who has access to all probates within the county other than the judge? Do you know who?
Clerk? The county clerk?
Lawyers. Lawyers all do. So in the state of Florida, they call it a benchmark system, okay? And they pay they have to pay a fee to be into it, and then they can, any cases they're associated with or anything they need to pull up, they can grab that stuff online. Now, a lot of counties have switched to paid for commercial accounts where you can pull it up. But at one point, I would work with an attorney and they would feed me the dockets. In return, I would do probates with them or give their assistant a set amount of fee, maybe at $50 or $100 a month. Guys, I don't know how legal that is, but like it worked for me. And the thing is, I went outside the box when I couldn't get them at all until I figured out how to get them myself. So I'm just telling you, what you're saying is the complete norm is what they're going to tell you. I'm just giving you ideas. Don't go in and go, Rick and Zach told me you had to give me the probates. It's not going to work. And so I can tell you're really good at talking to people. And I'm going to give you a little secret. Females are better at getting their point across than men. It's just like, guys, tell me about this. Whenever I have like a challenging situation and a lady comes up to me and they explain it nicely and calmly, I will give them a really good answer. If a guy comes up aggressive in my face, I'm like, dude, hit the door. End of story. And I'm just here to tell you, keep doing with your probates. You're in the natural progression of how it works.
Okay.
Okay. You got reverse driving for dollars. Got it. What else can I help you with?
So like I said, I'm going to start calling the old, well, not expired, but the dated FSBOs on Zillow in my local market. And I'm kind of a little like perplexed on where I go if someone is interested. Do you make an offer over the phone or do you shoot to try to set an appointment?
Okay. So let's backtrack this. So you're reaching out to like FSBO owners, Zillow, whatever avenue you can get, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What are you looking for?
Dated listings.
Okay. I got your target. So what are you looking from the seller? Like what are you truly hunting for in there on your prospect list? So you're in Zillow under the FSBOs. What are you particularly trying to identify?
Frustrated sellers that are just looking to sell.
See?
That they're like, you know what? I tried going on the MLS. It's not working. I'm ready to be done.
So hear that. That's AKA motivated sellers. You have to kind of listen to like every piece of information you get. You have to look for clues of that. Okay. If those clues aren't there, do not spend time on it because they will suck your time till it's like the end of earth. I've done this. So the biggest thing is Sasha's looking for motivated sellers. Okay. How do you find out if you have a motivated seller if you're calling them on the phone?
Right. Just asking like, how soon are you looking to sell or how long, just kind of.
So do you know the 4 qualifying questions we teach you in freewholesaling.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What are they? I'm putting you on the spot, but I'm here to tell you guys, it's honestly, it's all right there. If you stick to what you're doing now, here's the reality. If you called 100 people, probably 90 of them are going to go tell you, Sasha, you need to jump off a cliff. And you say, listen, you have a great day. I appreciate it. That's it. Like, it's not personal. You don't know what they're going through. Everyone's got a story. I have a story. You have a story. Both wonderful people. We're calling people. We're interrupting them. You've got to expect conflict. Okay? And the idea is don't create conflict where it doesn't fit. The worst thing you do is challenge someone. What do you mean jump off a cliff? Who do you think you are to tell me to don't engage? Like, they're just trying to tell you, like, you hit me at a bad time. Okay?
Right.
So the 4 qualifying questions, teach me what they are.
Motivation, condition, time frame, and price.
Oh my God. So like, see, this is what I'm talking about. So she spent the time to go through the course. So she's picked an avenue, which I think is only going to get better over time. It's probably a little sticky right now. The reality is sellers right now, because I've been through this exact same market, not exact, but you guys know what I mean, is sellers still right now think their house is worth $1 million. You guys understand that? They all, oh no, everything's fine. It's just a little glitch. Guys, it's not a glitch. We have problems in our economy. Economies go up and down. If they go straight up, they're always artificial. What's happened in the last few years? We've increased the money supply by 40%, the most drastic increase in U.S. history. Stuff is gonna have problems, okay? Interest rates are going up. Properties aren't moving. Most buyers can only afford are at a 30 to 40% discount rate because the interest rates are up. So when you find the person that goes, hey, I'm qualifying, then you decide to do an appointment. Okay. Rule number 1, if you can physically, so are you doing these local?
Yes.
Okay. So guys, especially you're starting out, your odds increase exponentially if you go meet people in person for obvious reasons. Why? Because when I look at Sasha and let's say I was meeting with her, she's a seller, I can look in her eyes. I can watch her facial expressions. I can watch if her arms are being raised. I can tell if she's looking away. I can find out so much more information from them. Okay. And the next thing is before you meet with them, verify that they are the seller on record. and they're the decision maker because you don't want to waste your time. And last but not least, what should you consider, especially as a female, before you go out and meet with somebody in person?
Safety.
Yes. There's too many idiots out there. Like, so if you're uncomfortable, have somebody go with you. Dude, my wife's a realtor. I still go with her because like I'm uncomfortable in some of the appointments. Even like on really nice properties, there's some really bad people out there as ruined. There's idiots that are terrorizing children in school, and they're going to do the same thing to realtors and like wholesalers. Don't let somebody set you up. If the story doesn't add up, do the whole thing virtually. Like that's my plan for it. So females have an advantage because I think they listen better. You guys are better at listening. Dude, I'm married 26 years. I know this, okay? Sometimes I don't listen and I know it and it gets me in trouble. But you're at a disadvantage on the safety. Now there's some women that would destroy me, period. So you have to handle your safety however you're comfortable doing it. And I'm out here, like everybody knows their safety level. So in the beginning, sometimes, especially if you're slightly concerned, bring somebody with you and never ever go at night. It's not a good idea. Now, if you want to get a feel for the property, maybe you got a contract, you want to drive by there at night to see what's going on, just stay in your car.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, so over the phone, I'm not shooting to make an offer, right, without a visual.
So only if you have to do it virtually. But here's what happens. Once you give someone your offer, you lose the attention of the seller immediately. Like they're done with you. They got what you wanted out of you. And now they're either going to take your offer or they're going to shop it. So you have to wait till you have a clear-cut decision before you give a contract. Now, if the seller says, hey, Sasha, I love what you're saying. I like how you're treating me. Everything seems good, but I want to take a look at your contract and run it by my lawyer. Can you give me the contract? What's your response to that?
Sure, no problem. It's not a contract. It's just the paperwork that we're going to turn into escrow to get these going, but sure.
Okay. So here's the thing is, in the beginning, I used to fight people on the lawyer thing. I've learned, like, they have the right to do a lawyer, and you look kind of scamish if you go, no, they can't review it. So this is great. So here's the price. You know, you're selling it for $150,000. We close it in 30 days, and I can come by and do inspections on it. And he goes, yeah, I'm fine with all that. Well, great. Here, I'll send you over the contract, and your lawyer can look it over. Guess what I send over? I send over a blank contract. Because I don't want to see them be picked apart by the terms on the lawyer. And if the lawyer wants to make like little papers, I don't care. I don't get, like, honestly, I don't lose sleep over it. Here's the reality. When they say that, it's usually a defense mechanism to see if you're going to say yes or no. And they're looking for an excuse. So if you tell them, I'm going to go ahead and do it, like, okay, 9 times out of 10, they never send it to the lawyer. There is no lawyer. The lawyer is their mother, their sister, their brother, or their neighbor. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, if the lawyer wants to call you and vet you, then that's fine. Go, listen, once I can fill it out and she'll sign it, I'll forward you the final agreement. Can you just look over and make sure the template's going to work for you? Now, lawyers are a pain in the butt on the 1-2-page contracts. I'm not going to lie to you. So whenever I do a probate, I try to do a long contract because I've learned lawyers, like the reality is I've watched them. They read the first 2 pages and the last signature page because they're not really getting paid for their time. So I'm giving you a heads up when they ask for it, guys, if you hand the offer over, they're done with you. I've learned this. You're out the garbage. They ghost you. They're done with you. The last thing you do is deliver the contract, and they should be signing it in front of you. Ask me how I learned this. You know how many thousands of contracts I left behind, and I never got a response from people? They take your contract, and they take it to the realtor, or they take it to this person, and then that's the problem with it. So what you have to do is just learn about your responses to them. And long as you have an intelligent response, most people are like, okay, that makes sense, Hasha. I'll do that. Okay? So don't resist the lawyer thing. It's not going to go away. It only gets louder. Okay? 9 times out of 10 when you send it over and they never send it to a lawyer. And then you call them back the next day. Does lawyer have a chance to review it? I thought about it. I think we're good. Okay. I need to come by and get it signed in person. What's a good time for you? So 9 times out of 10, other than doing a DocuSign and virtual and you can take it down, if you're in person, here's a contract. If you sign it, you can have it. If you want to think about it, let me know when I come back and we'll look it over. And if you want, you can leave them a blank. But I don't want to. You don't want to leave them a full contract because 9 times out of 10 they're not going to sign it.
And you guys said stay away from the word contract, right? So I was just going to say hey, this is our
agreement.
Paperwork. Get us going. I can turn this over if you fill
this out. So that's where the word PSA came from. You know what that stands for?
No.
Purchase and sales agreement. Like one's purchasing, one's selling it, so it's an agreement. So like actually, I think a lawyer or a realtor came up with that. So go, listen, can I put the agreement together? I just need to get your okay. I need to get your autograph. I've literally, ready for this? I screwed up a $50,000 deal by using, I just need your signature right there. I remember her looking at me like, ooh, that sounds very like official. I'm like, oh God. So a lot of the words you say, people are really listening. So as good as we're listeners, your sellers are hyper listening to everything you say because they're hoping you can solve a problem out with them. So 9 times out of 10, I want everybody to understand on this, if you can prepare a logical response and do it in a quick, timely fashion, your sellers believe in you so much more. If you sit there and go, I don't know. And even though you don't know, you're better off going, ready for this? If you ever struggle with a not knowing the answer, simply repeat the question and tell them you're going to go get help. Sasha, you know what? That's a great question. And I got to check with my attorney because I want to get you the best possible answer. Do you mind if I get back to you in a couple hours and I'll come back by and swing by? As opposed to going, I have no idea. And it's like, and then the worst one is when you lie about it. Go, yeah, you can do that. It's not a problem. And then they bust you. Then you're destroyed on it. So most of the time, everything you're talking about is if you just practice the responses, it's fine. And if you want to practice responses, anybody on these lives want to do it with me, I'm happy to do it with you guys. And that's what you need to do. So you've identified what you're looking for, the type of seller you want. So when they go off key and they tell you the house is perfect and I got it listed with a realtor and I'm going to do fine, go, hey, well, great, keep my number in mind if anything ever changes, and you decide if you want to do on the follow-up. The minute they go, listen, I'm struggling with this house, it's a problem, do you have a solution for me? Then that's great. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about the house? You go in the qualifying and you look for clues, you pull out some comps, and then you can set up an appointment time. And the worst you can do, as long as you're safe, is you're going to learn. Okay? What else you got?
That was it. I mean, unless you want to go through a dry run, you answered my questions for this week.
I think you've been on multiple times, so I'm going to save it for someone who's kind of like learning and doing it. You are on point, okay? So guys, I'm telling you, she goes through the course, okay? Freewholesaling.com. Go through it. I'm just telling you. Yeah, and she makes notes. So there's something that happens, like, I don't know about you guys, like when I write something down, it just like hardwires through my brain. I don't know how it happens, but it happens. And I'm here to tell you, if you guys will do the same thing and just keep learning every day and keep doing. The biggest thing I can tell you is, like, when it comes to sellers, especially if you go on your first appointment, just rehearse and practice. And I don't want you to do a script. If you know the 4 pillar questions to qualify, just understand, okay, price, motivation, condition, time frame. That's all you got to remember, okay? Because here's what happens with sellers. They never answer the questions in the order like you think they're going to ask. So the minute you ask about condition, they go, I got to move out by the end of the month. Okay, that one's done. I go, can you tell me a little bit more about the condition? And you just kind of go with that. So virtually, I'm going to be honest, you got to be better virtually because you don't have the gift of seeing them like belly to belly. I guarantee you, if you give me a person on the phone and I could meet him in person, I guarantee I could make a 30 to 50% higher return if I meet him in person. But honestly, that goes with any type of business. If you ever take down any type of transaction, if you meet someone person to person, let me ask you that. If you guys ever dated someone, you're married, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, if you ever had an argument over the phone, it's much easier to have it in person. Much easier because you can see what the heck's going on. And then usually can like make up and everything's good. Over the phone, the worst thing in the world is you people that negotiate over text. You're going to get killed. Never, ever negotiate anything over text. It's all set in stone when you do that. You ever have someone goes, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, I'm not yelling at you. Just the cap lock stuck on my phone. So you have it. Just stick to the core of what you're doing. You get it. Like, honestly, I'm very happy with the answers you gave me because a lot of people, they try to fit a deal into like, I go that they're not motivated. Like, you're wasting your time. Just go find somebody else. And I like your idea of doing the FSBOs because these FSBOs are going to be sitting on the market for longer and longer. So by the end of the summer, I'm not a big MLS guy, but I'm going to have somebody going through and digging through like MLS, especially expired. Any listing that's 60 to 90 days old or expired, I'm going to go after them like gangbusters. I love that stuff. So I love it. So which market are you in, out of curiosity?
I'm in Southern California in the Inland Empire.
Awesome. I just visited your state. You have a very large state, so
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
heading back to. I'm heading back there. I don't know if it's December or January. I gotta look at the schedule. But I want to go on the south side. I heard that's where it's happening.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
cold. San Francisco, man, it is cold up there. Whew.
I'm more.
It's nice.
I'm
What's that?
inland, but about an hour away is where all the coastal cities are. So that's where I really want to be. But I'll start
It's
here.
interesting. That's cool. You're on your path. So, how old are you doing this?
Oh man, you're gonna ask me that question.
No, you don't have to. You're
No,
listen,
no,
you're, a lot,
sorry.
you're a lot younger than I am. So I'm not.
I believe it or not, I am 35.
You don't even look close to that. So
Yeah.
I was gonna think like it's got to be like early 20s. So
I know that, and that's honestly like a hurdle for me because people think that I'm younger than I am, but I'm married with
Okay.
kids. I'm 35. My life is
there you
set.
go.
Thank God.
So don't worry. Everybody thinks my wife's like 15. Like she's tiny, she's small. It's like, is that your dad? I'm like, oh my God. Like it's so funny. It's just so like I like it. But that's good. Like that's what you ultimately want. So I had my son figured out when he was 16 or 17. Don't ever let your age or your parents of your age hold you back. So you got it. Okay, keep me updated. Okay.
Will do.
Awesome. Okay. I'm moving along here. I am going to jump. I came from zero quickly because I know he's going to give me an update. So we're going to keep this one short because I give you a lot of time, my friend. So what's going on? You got to unmute yourself. There you go. Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
Super quick. So with the update as far as the situation yesterday, we're just gonna hold off on that one. I didn't go to the appointment. I talked to her, but what I ended up doing, I got back on doing my cold calls after I got off the phone with you guys, and I ended up calling the seller, and
Okay.
she was motivated to sell, but she's already listing it with the agent. It's currently listed at 585. I ran the numbers. The ARV is 693, and then times 85%. I think it was like 590 something. She said we didn't get too much time to get into the repairs because she was at a game at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I'm looking like how do we move forward if they're ready with the agent? Is that possible?
It's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. Something has to break to make it work. I don't want you killing yourself with it. Once they list it with the agent, you are no longer in control of anything.
Okay.
You're not. And it's not like the agent. So unless you have a previous relationship with the agent, I'm just here to tell you, keep an eye on it. If it's not going to move, then the only thing that's going to fix your problem is time. If that property doesn't move on the market and you told her, listen, and then it doesn't move and she doesn't get the price she wants, then you become credible and then the realtor doesn't become credible. Unfortunately, some people have to go through that journey sometimes. Okay. Once again, you got to know what's going on in that local market. Are properties moving? Is inventory climbing? Give you an example. Everyone's like, oh, inventory is going to climbing. In my current market, we're at 1.6 months worth of inventory. So how that works is they take the total amount of houses on the market and divide it by the average amount of houses sold that month. Okay. So if there's 1,000 houses on the market and they're selling 500 a month, that'd give a 2-month supply. In a perfect world, a balanced market is 7 to 9 months of inventory. We have a long way to go in Florida. Okay. So the biggest thing I can tell you guys is look at your market saturation because that'll tell you if listings are increasing, if transactions are going down and there comes a bigger disparity, then the writing's on the wall, what's going to happen with listings, just like you mentioned. So how much does it need in repairs?
She said the minimum, the brand new roof even has solar panels on it. So like I said, she was at a game, so we couldn't get too much into detail. But she did mention that like one thing that was really motivating for her was that she wants to. She doesn't know where they're gonna move to next. But if we can figure out somewhere where her and her son can move next to each other, because that's where they stay right now, then like she'll be like really down.
Where do they want to move to?
Still in Houston. It's in Houston.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what's the average price median in that market?
I couldn't tell you exactly. Like this one is the highest house that I've come across. Like just $7,000.
I mean, so remember, like Zach talked about this yesterday. Like for wholesaling for the core, to keep you out of trouble, especially in a rough market, it's try to stay at or below the median price average for your market. Why? Because that's where the most activity is. Once you start going north of that, the deals sometimes seem better, but the transaction cost, the time it takes, and a lot of the higher, like in Florida, anything over like 800,000 or 900,000 typically involves a realtor. 98% of them. I don't fight the grain on the higher end stuff, but honestly, I'm into every one of those deals 6 to 18 months. Whole different ball game. I have the war chest to do it. And honestly, those deals are boring as heck to me. I hate them. Okay. They're slow. You got to let everyone gets paid a ton of money. Realtors get paid 30, 50,000 for no skin in the game. It drives me nuts. So, and once you have a realtor involved, I'd put them in a follow-up and move. You're going to beat your head against the wall, man. It sucks.
Okay.
Like, you have no control. And the last thing the realtor is going to do is call you when her listing's expiring and go, can you help me? It's going to be the seller doing that. And so just find out. The only trick is find out how long they did the listing. The average listing is usually 6 months.
Okay.
6 months.
They did it June 25th.
June 25th. So you can. The reality is anybody can get out of a listing. It's very hard to enforce a listing unless somebody had like expensive open houses and did a lot of marketing with it. But my suggestion is just go find another lead and put them in your follow-up and see if it changes. Why is she selling? Just out of curiosity.
Why did she say she was selling? So I'm not sure exactly why she said she was selling, but as I was asking about the condition of the property, she just put a new AC unit in there, and then she's like, I just decided to sell it like 2 weeks after I put that in. Like I said, she was in the middle of a game, so we couldn't really get too in depth as far as like having a good conversation.
Okay. Well,
I'm supposed to call her today actually.
Yeah. So guys, once a realtor lists it, the only thing that can fix it is usually time. Period. Okay. Time. And you can't force that, because what happens is time will eventually, if the realtor overreached, when they're competing, they mostly overreach, is when they can't get that price and they get frustrated and they made promises and they have no offers, then they're like, listen, I got to get this thing sold. And then you got to go back and requalify them. And if market conditions change, they go even more south, then they're going to be open. But the numbers change. So I've had people come back to me years after it. I'm like, how the heck did you even remember my number? Not even my fault, because I didn't follow up with them and they still sold it to me. So the only thing that fixes, as long as you keep your integrity, everything, if you get a realtor that outbeats you and you know the house maybe had some challenges, is just let time soak it through and follow up with it. So.
Okay, so should I just call it back and say, hey, if things don't work out?
Go, listen, I wish you the best. I hope, and here's what I do. I repeat the price for what they got at sell. I'm crossing my fingers they get you 580, whatever they got it listed for. Hold them to that number. Because what did she list it for?
585. Let me just.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just keep repeating that number, because if she winds up getting an offer of like 500, she probably would have been better off going with someone like you. But remember, they got to have the motivation. And honestly, I've never met a realtor that's done a freshly new signed up listing that's ever helped me out, unless they usually call me right before they listed it, and that's a pre-marketing strategy. But if I don't have a relationship with them and I know nothing about that and they listed a deal I was competing for, I usually just move on. I just keep an eye on the market and then go from there. That's all you can do, man. It sucks, but happens all the time to me, by the way, all the time. Like there's no way you can't convince them, and it's like you can't make them do it. Like,
yeah, I was just trying to make sure that I wasn't like being shysty or something, like backdooring. No. Okay.
No. Listen. Kudos to the realtor, but just maybe it doesn't work out. Market conditions deteriorate. So once again, you got to get a pulse on your local market. Everybody on watching this, stop taking the general idea. Real estate is all local. What's going on in my area, it has nothing to do with what's going on. If it was all national, I'd be a gazillionaire. I'd flip 10,000 properties every month all over the country. The problem why I can't do stuff regularly on Houston, just because I'm not dialed in there. When it takes me 3 to 6 months to even get profitable and get it dialed in from a virtual guy standpoint. So I do multiple virtual markets. They were extremely painful when I started. It's hard because I thought what I did locally would work virtually. No, a whole different ballgame.
Okay.
You still look for the motivation, but you got to figure out what the price points are. And honestly, like, I don't have the local knowledge for it, and you have to rely on local people to help out. So that's why me and Zach like to do the JVs, because people like you know the local market. You just got to find distressed sellers that need to sell it. So Keep going, man. Just keep finding. Once a realtor gets it listed, you have a very, very slim probability of getting a deal out of that one.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, man. Keep it going. Okay. Let's keep moving here. What's up, Kevin? How you doing? Kevin, you there? Kevin. Okay, I'm going to come back to Kevin. I've got Jennifer. Jennifer, you there? Jennifer, I hear a keyboard. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Where are you calling from?
I'm in Arkansas.
Arkansas, the Razorbacks.
Yeah.
I really need some football back in my life. I gotta tell you, I love my wife, but like I can only watch so many movies. Guys, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. What can I help you out with?
I have a few things that I wanted to talk about. Since I've never been on here before, I just want to say thank you for everything.
Okay. Well, I want to help you out. So we're kind of on a short time. So
Okay, got it.
let's go.
I just made an offer to a seller. They weren't happy about the price, so they kind of hung up after we talked. But I wanted to ask you about the population at the properties that we're trying to get under contract. This property, the population was really small, but it was by a town that had a big population.
Okay.
So he wanted more, but I told him that the town that he's selling the house in, it's not, the home prices are not at where the bigger town is.
Yeah, makes sense.
And there's not as much demand. So I offered him 40 for it.
Okay.
And but it wasn't selling at like 55,000. And I'm like, plus he's evicting the tenant, upgrades or anything like that after the tenant.
Okay.
But I was wondering about the populations because it's in Mississippi, so there's a lot of smaller towns in Mississippi.
Yeah.
So I just want.
Yeah. So small populations, meaning you're going to have a smaller market to sell to. It's going to be limited. So I have a story where a friend of mine from California decided to go to Mississippi because they were like so cheap. He bought the entire street. He still owns every property 6 years later.
Wow.
And I mean, he bought them like cheap. I go, how can you go wrong with that? You can't go wrong because once again, he didn't know the local market. So are you doing that virtually or physically?
Yeah, I'm doing it virtually because I'm in Arkansas, but we're fixing to move to Mississippi.
Okay. So the good thing about Mississippi, a lot of cheap properties, a lot of rundown properties. There's a ton of opportunity. The one thing I'll tell you about Mississippi is door to door. Like once you know a street, like you'll know the people, you know it. But like a lot of like big time investors think they can go to these small markets and just destroy it. I did that once. I got killed. And I'm just here to tell you, you got to stick to your rules. And so whenever you do virtual, you have to set like minimum rules, like X amount of population, median price, and you cannot differ from it because you don't have the local expertise and you will learn it over time. But you gotta have profitable deals. So I think your intuition's right, and stop second guessing yourself. And you don't need to justify the price. Remember, guys, whenever you make an offer, if you guys didn't watch the, I don't know, me and Zach, I got a recorded video coming out. Me and Zach went into detail. Is when you make an offer, the goal is not to have them say yes. I know that sounds counterproductive. And so many people try to make the safe offer just to try to lock up the deal. The goal is to have them say no. You know why? Because if I go, listen, I offer you 40 and he wants like 65 or 70, the goal is to have him respond and go, listen, I can't take a penny under 51,500. Okay. Like once he reveals his cards, then I have something to work with. Okay. The whole goal when you make an offer, I don't want to insult people or hurt their feelings, but you know what the worst scenario is? If you make the offer, let me ask you this. Jennifer, if you offered 40 grand and he said yes right away, how would you feel?
Awesome. I'd send them the contract.
Yeah. So here's the reality of this, because I know this story. I once, when I was taking Zach out training, I wasn't actually doing, so I had salespeople for me. I go, oh, I was show my son how to do this. I went over, I was in a huge rush. I had some comps. Guy came out, told the story. I let Zach do all the talking. And Zach immediately reached, actually I did. This was one where he was training with me and I offered a guy like 50, 55 grand. The guy put his hand out there. He goes, are you kidding me? That's incredible. Shook my hand violently. And I go, I remember, like, if we buy for this, it's a home run. You know what I walked out of there? You know what I told Zach? I said, we just left 40 grand on the table. It's my fault. And I was so embarrassed. We still made a lot of money with it, but I'm just telling you, if I went in with a lower number, he would say, listen, I can't take less than this. And that's what you're looking for. Motivated sellers will usually trigger, go, this is the deal I can do right now. And that's what you're looking to get. So don't worry when they don't say yes. If they say yes, you should freak out because that means you offered too much. So remember, when you offer something, you're looking for a response from the motivated seller. You're not looking for a yes. So whenever you do an offer, so like here's a good technique when you do it, Jennifer, in the future, just go listen. So did you do it in person or over the phone?
Over the phone.
Okay. So you need to practice your skill set when they won't give you a price, and it's common. Go, just listen, Mr. Seller. You haven't given me a number. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, listen, I got like 40 grand cash. Is that something you would even consider? And just sound uncertain and doubtful about it, or blame it on a third party, your partner, your significant other, whatever. And if he chews you out, you go, listen, that's what I thought. I would never offer you that. And you kind of save yourself. Either they're going to chew you out, or they're going to say yes, which is problematic to me, or they're going to give you a counter. Okay? You just have to navigate through those three situations. If you remember that rule every time you do it, but you have to practice it because he doesn't see you in person. So you have to create like that scrunchy face. So I'd like to take full credit for this. Peter Conti taught me this technique back in 2003 and 4, and I use it today. And he learned it from somebody else. People who tell you they invented stuff in real estate are 100% lying to you. Okay? You can invent stuff through experiences. So when you make these offers, there's only 3 outcomes, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And one you don't want, because if they say yes, that means you're overpaying for the property, in my opinion. And that's what a majority of real estate investors do right now. We got a short minute left. What else you got?
Okay, I also wanted to know about sellers not wanting to send like pictures of the property.
Well, you can't make people sign stuff. So it's up to you to build a rapport with them, to make them super comfortable with you and try to answer as many questions as you can for them. But it is frustrating. You're talking about when you get to the final part to get to like a DocuSign?
No, I'm talking about like the pictures to see what the property looks like.
So that's the challenge. So the reality is the better deal you get, especially virtually, you asking the seller to provide you like the pictures and stuff, you got to be careful, because if they're giving you like a deep discount, they're like, what do you want me to take pictures for and do all that stuff? They're less motivated to kind of do the work. So sometimes you have to pay local people, a retired real estate agent, a property manager or someone $50, $75 to go out and take pictures for you. Now, if you can get the seller to do it for you, God bless you. But like, I have the same struggle. Like, you have no idea. We have one property now. I'm just like trying to like stuff, like the guy's driving me nuts. And it's in and it's always a problem when it's in a rural area. And that's where we struggle. And then we violated our population thing just like you did. And it's going to cost me like $300 to get somebody out there to go take pictures. And I'm like, guys, how are we going to sell this? I have to pay $300 to get pictures for it. So you just got to figure it out. And then once you master a market, you got a reliable person, then you can go through them. Be prepared when you hire someone, you're going to go through a lot of them because they're extremely unreliable. And I don't pay anyone until they upload the pictures into the drive and they're satisfactory. Then I pay them. Never, ever pay a property scout up front because they'll never do it.
Got it. If you don't have the money and you say someone can just JV with you, how do you sign an agreement before the time?
Do you know the person you're going to do the JV with?
No.
Okay. So you got to be wary of the person you're going to do a JV if you don't know them. So obviously everyone knows me and Zach. That's a different deal and you're working with us. But if you don't know someone, make sure you're going by the book on everything. So one way you can do it, you can have them assign the contract to you. So now you have a chain of command. There's no way they can cut you out. The other way is you can have them sign a simple JV agreement. You can Google them. They're everywhere. It just says, you agree to pay me X amount of the proceeds. Once they execute that agreement, you have to immediately get it over to the title company and put it in someone's hands and make somebody liable for it.
Got it.
Okay? It's very hard for a wholesaler to go find another title company, and the title company doesn't want to get sued, so they want to honor it. So as long as the person will validate your agreement and you tell them to do that, you'll be fine. So you got one of two ways. You can have them, if you really don't trust a person and they're shyster, have them assign it directly to you. It's the only way to 100% protect you. If you have somewhat confident you've done business with them before, you can do a JV agreement, and then you can give that to the title company. The nice thing with the JV agreement is you're not on the hook. Your name's not on the title, but you do run the risk if he decides to take it to another title company to cut you out. And by the way, I have been run over on like JV agreement. Like at the end of the day, the wholesaler still has to do the right thing. I find if they're complete shysters, they're going to try to screw you no matter what you sign. So just, if you have a bad feeling about the person you're doing business with up front, run. Don't even do it. It's not worth it because they're just going to create a havoc for you. And anybody tells you the check's in the mail, they're lying to you. Everything's done electronically in closings. There's no reason. I always told my employees, if you don't get paid the day of closing, run from my business because you're in trouble. Right? Okay. If you don't get paid the day it's funded, you're never going to get paid. So you got it. And do me a favor, call back. It wasn't painful to call in, right? It was easy.
No, I was very intimidated to do it though. That's why I had to.
Like I'm regular. Like honestly, I was in your shoes. Okay. My Zach's only 22, and he's like, he took him 2 years to really get into his thing and make money and do it. Like 2 years goes by so fast, guys. Everyone's got to understand it. So do me a favor, hop on anytime you want. We're here live, guys. We're live 4 days a week, Tuesday through Friday. So,
well, thank you so much for everything.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So listen, before I leave, everybody's in queue. I'll give you like 2 minutes when I get off of this, but please be direct because I actually got to try to squeeze the gym in. I've been working too much today. So do me a favor before you guys leave, make sure you check out my YouTube channel on Rick Ginn. I'm doing personal content, and we're trying to segregate it for those of you that want to hear like a little bit more about my story and the things I do in my everyday life. Go over to Rick Ginn. It's on YouTube. My son also has a channel if you guys want to connect with him. I know he's a lot more hip. I know he's better looking, and he's a lot younger. Check out Zach Ginn. And then for all our lives and everything, you can always go where we tune in here on Flip with Rick. And I'm doing a lot more personal content on there because that way you guys can find the information you want, and it really helps out as many people as possible. So guys, do me a favor. Hit me one last like before we disconnect here. If you guys are on live, if you're brief with me, I promise I'll help out everybody I can. I appreciate you all, and I will see you guys soon. See you guys.